A grade 10 learner was stabbed to death at Gelexdal Secondary School in Brakpan yesterday. Gauteng Education MEC Manqoba Mchunu visited the school today. Now, for more on what led to that stabbing, Manqoba Mchunu is back from Brakpan, joining me now in studio. Good afternoon, Manqoba. Welcome back. And what did you see when you were there at the school? What did you find out, for example, about this stabbing? I mean, one of the questions on my mind since the story broke was a grade 10 pupil yet again dying in an act of violence.
Well, but then I can tell you that there was a lot of upset parents that were outside the school. Also, quite angry pupils that were there at the school that had gathered this morning that wanted to shut the school down amid safety concerns, of course. And amid this incident that had occurred yesterday, we understand, but then that the stabbing had followed a fight that had taken place during school hours. And so it happened that some of the pupils managed to stop these group of perpetrators who had been pepper spraying these victims at the time. It broke out in a classroom, Braden, and the question, of course, is where was the teacher at the time? That's a question that officials are asking themselves. That's a question that parents are asking themselves. But we understand that they then took the fight outside of the classroom after school, and that's where they then fought, and there was an altercation. There were also other relatives or friends that were brought in by those perpetrators, which led to the stabbing that happened of 18-year-old Sean Mpela, who of course was one of the students at the school. His friend was also injured, and the third one, which was one of the people that had come with the perpetrators, is also fighting for his life in hospital. So the community quite shocked, but then they're quite angry, they're upset. They're saying that this has been a long time coming at the school, given some of the issues that that raised when it comes to the school. One of those issues, of course, is the issue of overcrowding. They're saying that there is quite a lot of students, about 80 per class, and teachers are unable to control these pupils. So there are constant fights that break. And one of the parents, I remember, but then telling me that each and every afternoon they see a fight happening outside the school. The other lady saying that she's even praying now, that God intervenes. They want to start a prayer at the school because of the violence that happens around that school. But also another crucial issue is the issue of racial tensions, which some of the parents say is a problem in that school. But I spoke to one of them. This is what he had to say, Pradan.
Schools are receptors of the community. So the state of the community will be seen in the school. What we can do at best is to ensure we secure our learners. But greater work must be done by those in the community, the parents, the community leaders. They need to start being role models to these learners, because these learners will act as what they see from those that they see as role models. And that's where the problem is. Together with that incident that you're talking about, the problem was the state of the community, the high gangsterism, high violence, and here the same. You get a sense that there's a high level of gangsterism and substance abuse, and those are things that are happening outside of the school, and they find themselves into the school.
Societal issues there. That's in fact Manqoba Mchunu, the Gauteng Education MEC, explaining that there are external factors, societal issues that seem to be impacting on the pupils in school. You've managed to speak to your family member?
Certainly, Pradan, and you can just imagine what they're going through at this stage, because the family is saying that, they received a call yesterday, and, they're just hoping and waiting for their son to return, and only to receive a call to be told that, in fact, he had been stabbed and that he had died outside the school. But what was more shocking, Pradan, for the family is the fact that there was no help that was afforded to this young man while he lied outside the school for many minutes before he actually, demised. In fact, we heard from some of the students who said they even reached out to teachers asking them to take this 18-year-old boy to hospital, but the teachers refused. They said that they could be fired if they do that. So there was no help afforded to him in those last moments of him, trying, to live, and there was just no help being afforded. The family found him there, so they were quite broken about that. But even more, Pradan, is the fact that the family says this could have all been avoided, and the reason for this is because they say that they've raised these issues. This young man had complained to the parents from last year.
So it's not the first time?
It's not the first time, Pradan, they say. In fact, the father went as far as going to the school several times to raise this issue about the same group of boys that ultimately, did or were responsible for that incident that happened yesterday. So he raised the issues with the school did nothing. He says he even took it as far as the police and opened a case with the police, hoping that the police will also intervene. So he has several cases.
It sounds like
with
the system let down this family big time, in a very tragic way. Look, they've now lost a son.
And this father saying that, he feels let down by not only the school, but also the Department of Education, because they should make sure that, schools are safe for pupils when they come to those schools. And secondly, by government as a whole, saying that the police have failed him, and he feels that he's been let down even by government. The justice system had let him down because he had raised these issues. And if these issues had been taken seriously at the time, his son would still be alive. But take a listen to what one of the aunts had to say.
No, as a family, we are very broken. But my concern, most of all, when we found Sean lying there, they said he's been lying there for hours, and then they've been waiting for an ambulance for 2 hours. Now, my quest is that to the community of Gelexdal or whoever, the teachers, I'm not blaming anybody, but throughout that 2 hours while they were waiting for an ambulance, couldn't have someone took him to the hospital, because from where Sean was lying is just a few minutes to the hospital where he could have been saved. And we were going to be eased to find Sean maybe in a hospital rather in a street, you understand, surrounded by people whom were doing nothing, and to be told Guti they've been waiting for ambulance for 2 hours. He was in the Ipulu song is next to where he was lying. Someone could have taken him maybe with his car, took him to the hospital. It could have been something to know that at least Umigisi was bedlela, and then he failed and he died maybe in a hospital, not in a street. We feel like even the community there, it's like they didn't care. Where we found Ushon lying, it was next to an open gate. Where were the people of that house? Couldn't they have intervened somehow?
I'm sure as a family, of course, you're raising these issues, but you're still looking for answers. I mean, the fact that it happened at a school, I'm sure this is something that is still shocking to you as a family.
No, it's very sad. Ushan could have came back from school. We're waiting for him to come back from school. So it was said to get a call to say, come, he's lying there. What was done during the time they were waiting for the ambulance? That's my concern. So sad.
And how do you feel about the fact that this all started at school?
It's sad because this thing was happening from last year. I just feel good the school could have done something about this long before it is where it is right now. Something could have been done from last year with the beatings, because they started beating him before they stabbed him. Yeah, something could have been done during that time.
In terms of accountability, Ma, what do you want to see? And in terms of justice, what are you hoping for as a family?
I don't want to say anything now. Yeah.
Just on that justice point, before you tell us about what some of the pupils had to tell the MEC, have anyone been arrested in connection with this murder?
Well, but then what we do know is that the police are still investigating this. At this particular point, we know that that investigation is still quite fresh. We're not sure whether they have actually arrested somebody. But earlier on, we saw community members, going to one of the houses where they had suspected, or in fact, where they had known that a friend of one of the suspects was staying. They tried to actually burn the house down, and police had to intervene to try and, save the situation. So the situation was quite tense, Praten, and that speaks to the issues in that particular community.
Yeah, so the sooner the police can really get to the bottom of this, the better. I'm sure the family of the boy will be looking for an arrest, hoping rather for an arrest. So what did the pupils have to say?
Well, but then the pupils saying that this is a daily occurrence at the school. The fact that, there's violence at the schools. They're saying that whenever they try to raise these issues with their teachers, they're not taken seriously. In fact, one of the pupils was addressing the MEC saying that, sometimes when they try to speak to the teachers about some of these violent incidents, when they see other pupils carrying weapons, because they say this is something that happens all the time, that pupils carry dangerous weapons, guns, knives at the school. So when they try to take these issues to the principal or to the teachers, they are told this is not their job is to teach, so they're not responsible for security. So they're saying that really there's been nothing that the school has been doing to try and resolve some of these issues, and many of them saying that, in fact, this is what it had to take for, you know, this issue to receive attention, for them to finally be
Somebody
heard.
had
They were
to die.
telling even the MEC that, did you have to come here today when somebody has died? Because all this time we've been raising this thing. The parents that say pretend they've been writing letters to the department, you know, and the department has not answered, raising these similar issues. So there's a lot of frustration, and of course pupils at this stage saying that they hope that you know, Mpela's death will not be in vain, and that this will surely get the message to government that something serious needs to be done as far as their safety is concerned. But take a listen to what they have to say.
I am Tandom Nisi from 12D. Yesterday when the incident happened, we asked one of the teachers to help take the child to the hospital, and the teacher told us that it's against the school rule and that she might lose her job. We have been telling the school that something bad will be happening in the school, and they told us that we are witches. Whatever we are doing, we are causing bad things in the school, and that we are disrupting the school for nonsense.
This hasn't been the first time this thing has happened. There has been multiple issues whereby this very same thing happened. We were there. Where were everyone that was standing here? Where were you? When we were screaming and seeing his blood splatter on the floor, where were you? When we asked for help, where were you? As soon as he pulled the knife, where were you?
This is not the first time something like this has been happening. We had a fight. It was a type of a racial fight as well, where my dad had to drive from Rustenburg to Gelukstad to come and sort it out because the school couldn't do anything about it. He solved it. Yeah, it stopped. But you guys are here now. You're saying that you're obligated to be here to come and check if everything is okay, if everything is fine. After seeing you today, when are you going to come again? When another learner dies. When another learner dies. The teachers were there. Fair enough, we understand that you might lose your job because of taking the child to hospital. We watched him die. We watched him die. It's not nice. What are you going to do about it? What is going to be done about it? So we're going to go on like nothing happened until another death. It's not going to stop. I'm not blaming the teachers only, the parents also. The parents also. Fair enough, sometimes you leave before your child makes it to school. But it's how you raise your child. Yeah, it's the choices that we make as children. Mara discipline umtanako.
So we've been having a lot of incidents happening in the school, and I wouldn't call it a racial incident because we are all of, we can't define colored people as a different race because we're all black. It's a discriminatory thing. We're having an issue whereby now, when we as learners discuss incidents with teachers, they tell us that this is not my job. My job is to be in class and teach. Only to find out that we are surrounded by danger as learners. And when we come to report to teachers, educators, and anyone who's at the top official, we are not heard.
A number of pupils there at the Gelukstad Secondary School in Ekurhuleni, ending that update from Manqoba Mchunu. Well, the police need to investigate, and the culprits, whoever stabbed that young man to death, whether you're a pupil as well, need to be arrested, and justice must just take its course.